So we've done a bunch of reaction videos talking about what to say to, how to interact with, how to impress recruiters. This one is titled 6 Recruiter Red Flags. I have not watched it, but we have watched one of this creator's videos in the past. So let's see what he has to say about red flags with recruiters and see what he's talking about. Let's jump right into it.
15 years. And I'm about to say something that might shock you. A good portion of the recruiters that work in recruitment today, they're not worth working with. In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 signs that you need to look for the next time a recruiter engages you so you can understand, are they worth working with or should I avoid them? Let's go. Now, the first major sign you need to look for is, are they uninformed about your industry? Look, I've got a business degree, I've got an MBA, but I don't know how to, code. I'm not a software engineer. But I know enough about the roles I would be working on to be able to speak in a way that makes it sound like, okay, I'm at least informed, right? I'm not a complete novice. I can talk a little bit about some of the languages. I can talk about some of the different methodologies when it comes to creating code, right? Are you agile? Are you waterfall? You can tell that I've at least spent enough time understanding the industry, the space, etc. But sometimes a recruiter will call you and it's immediately, painfully obvious this person has no idea what they're talking about. If someone calls you and they have no idea what they're talking about, you should not work with that person because the likelihood is they are newer to that industry and they don't have the credibility and authority to actually help you in these roles. The whole reason you work with a recruiter is access to roles and access to hiring managers. There are other things, but primarily that's what you're hoping to gain from that relationship. And if a person sounds like they don't know what they're talking about to you, well, that's how they sound to hiring managers, meaning they probably lack influence and they won't be able to get you in front of the right people because when they reach out to those people, they know this person doesn't know what they're talking about. So the first red flag you need to look for when it comes to evaluating, is this recruiter worth working with, is do they actually understand enough about your industry to have some credibility? The next big thing you got to watch for is, do they...
You want to make sure, like, it's important because anyone can just say they're a recruiter. There's a lot of people that have never placed anyone anywhere just jumping in saying like, hey, I'm a recruiter, hey, I'm a recruiter. Me running a software platform where we have remote and high ticket sales jobs being posted on a daily basis. I have recruiters reach out to me and, not to throw shade, but people will reach out to me and say like, hey, I'm a recruiter, this is what I do. You want to send reps my way, I can connect with business owners, but they have no connections with business owners. They have no business owners they're talking to. They have no one that they're recruiting for actively. They're just trying to like gather a list of people so that when they do go and reach out to business owners, they've already got people ready. But, one of the biggest problems with that from their standpoint makes perfect sense. But from your standpoint is you could be wasting that time if you're doing like interviews with them, sending them resources, mock calls, all these things just for them to, eventually not even have anyone to reach out to, or they just like end up quitting and moving on because they can't get clients. You end up burning a lot of your time. So definitely make sure that you're working with the right recruiters. Let's see what other red flags he has.
Actually do what they say they are going to do. If they say they're going to email you, do they do it? Do they say, if they say they're going to follow up via a text, via an email, via a phone call, do they do it? If you coordinate a time to connect, do they call you at that time, or do they send you a text the next day? Oh, I'm so sorry, I got busy, I couldn't call you. Good recruiters will follow through on the things they say they're going to do because they understand that their word is really important. If they say they're going to do something, they need to do it. And if a recruiter doesn't do that, you should ignore them. By the way, if you want to become the best candidate possible and land your dream job, what I want you to do is go down to the description box. That first link, that is the link to my full interview prep guide. And it has a ton of things in there. It has instructive videos that are going to help you deal with some of the most challenging interview questions you will get. It has different exercises.
All right, back to the feedback.
The next thing you need to be on the lookout for is, do they actually have contact with or access to hiring managers, right? So with an agency...
Oh, so many, like kind of like what I was saying before. Do they actually have access to these hiring managers? A lot of recruiters, when they're first getting started out, or they have no one that they're recruiting for actively, they'll just be collecting, and they're collecting for no one at this point. Or what they'll do is they'll see a job post for a company, and then they'll go and they'll collect resumes of that company. Like they'll collect resumes that match what that company's looking for, and then they'll just start throwing candidates at that company as a way to entice that company to work with them. Maybe they'll even talk to you, they'll even interview you and try to use you as their marketing for that company. Again, not a terrible idea for the recruiter, but for you, you could have ended up just like wasting your time with someone who's asking you questions about a company, certain niches, certain offers that they're not even actually communicating with that business in the first place, and you could have just went to that business directly. So that's why RepSelect, we literally list the best recruiters instead of you guys wasting your time with the wrong recruiters. Link in bio. Check out RepSelect.
If a recruiter calls you, they should be able to call you, tell you about the role, tell you about the
I keep saying bio. I'm just used to that, but it's description. We're on YouTube. It's description, not bio.
Organization, and tell you when they are meeting next with the hiring manager. If I was you, a candidate, I would say, okay, when was the next time you're planning on talking to the hiring manager? And if they don't confidently tell you a day that is coming up in the near future, you probably don't want to work with them. Because again, the main reason you want to partner with recruiters is access to hiring managers, access to jobs, access to openings, access to hiring managers. A truly good recruiter will not only have access to a hiring manager, but they will have influence with that hiring manager because they've probably built up a relationship over time. And they can call them and go, hey, Ben, I have a really good candidate for you. I think they are worth your time talking to them because of A, B, C, and D. And if they have done good work for them in the past, guess what? The hiring manager will talk to that candidate. That is the type of recruiter you want to work with. So if you sense they do not have access to the hiring manager, if they cannot articulate to you the influence they have with that hiring manager, you do not want to work with them. A massive red flag is if a recruiter asks you to drop out of an interview process with another company. So oftentimes when you're working with a recruiter, they'll ask you, okay, how does this job compare to the other opportunities you are currently pursuing right now? And they're asking that because they want to identify, okay, is this person interviewing with a handful of other companies? And if they are, where do we stand in that ranking? You know, in that pecking order, where do we fall? Do we have a high degree of likelihood of this person staying in the process, or are they likely to drop? That is what they're doing with that question, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. If they ask you that question, it is your choice to be honest or not be honest. You can tell them or you cannot tell them. But if you do say, yeah, I've got a few other things that I'm pursuing and, they're all about equal to me. I'm interested in all of them. And then they pressure you to drop out of those other interview processes, don't work with that person. It is your career. They can choose to present the opportunity to you or not, but they definitely don't get to choose which opportunities you pursue. If they try to push you to leave other opportunities behind just to pursue theirs, do not work with them. The next thing is kind of similar. They pressure you to do anything. If they're trying to get you to, go to an interview the next day, but you're not available and you can't do it, and they really pressure you to do it, if they pressure you to reveal information you're not comfortable revealing, if they pressure you to give them references and you're not sure you want to do that yet, don't work with that person. Working with a recruiter is a relationship, okay? And relationship dynamics shouldn't be built on pressure. They should be built on having a good reciprocal relationship in which they are helping you, you are helping them. That's how it should work. It should not be built on pressure. If they try to pressure you, do not work with that recruiter. Another sign of a good recruiter is that they are highly communicative. They're communicating with you frequently. They message you, they keep you in the loop, they reach out to you after interviews. How did the interview go? Are you more interested, less interested, or the same after that interview? Did you learn anything new in that interview? That's a good recruiter. So the opposite is what you need to look out for. If a recruiter does not communicate to you for a long period of time, they're hard to get in touch with, they're totally out of the loop, do not work with them. Good recruiters exist. You should not spend time working with bad recruiters. Now, if you're watching this video and you want to get more...
Yeah, recruiters that don't respond quickly, they're really a pain to work with at the end of the day. Their job is to get candidates placed in fast. And typically, from what I've experienced, if a recruiter is really slow to respond, if they're not communicative, it's probably because they're not interested in placing you in an offer, or they don't have something for you, or they've just taken on too much. But at the end of the day, you don't want to constantly have to be following up always with a recruiter. Yes, following up with them is good, but if they're just not, kind of like the last video we reacted to, if you're not hearing back after interviews, if they're really slow to respond, probably not interested in you, which would mean that you want to make sure that you're spending your time elsewhere. But overall, solid video, good tips, good advice. Definitely don't waste your time with bad recruiters. See you guys in the next one.